This is no ordinary message. Archangel Michael says heaven broke protocol to deliver this directly to you. My beloved child, tonight is different. The energy around you tonight is not normal, not random, not something your soul has experienced before. Tonight, heaven broke protocol because this message was not supposed to pass through normal channels like all the other divine transmissions your soul once received across lifetimes. This message had to be delivered directly, straight, without delay, without filtration, without alteration, without interference from any force, memory, karma, emotion, or spiritual energy that could mute the magnitude of this revelation. This is why this has reached you exactly at this moment and not a second before or after. Because this one message alters everything. This is not symbolic. This is not metaphor. This is not theoretical spiritual talk meant to inspire you lightly. This is direct intervention. Your timeline was intercepted by heaven itself. And Archangel Michael himself insisted that this bypass every universal law that normally controls what enters human consciousness at what time. You were not supposed to receive this message today. You were supposed to receive it years later, after cycles, after karmic resets, after many personal transitions, after emotional collapses, after you learned certain emotional lessons the long way. But heaven looked at your emotional condition in this present dimension and heaven said, "No more waiting. Now is the moment." Because something in your spirit finally reached a spiritual breaking point, a frequency threshold, a silent surrender inside your soul which you never said out loud with words. But heaven heard it. Heaven saw it. Heaven felt it. Heaven witnessed the internal atmospheric rupture that happened inside your heart recently, and the tear inside your spirit activated a signal so rare that it already alerted the higher realm before you knew what that moment truly meant. And Archangel Michael could not ignore it. Heaven normally works with cosmic timing, cycles, stages, layers, alignment, divine sequencing, but this time protocol was broken. Because your past cycles have overstretched too long and now destiny cannot afford any more delay. You have crossed a silent threshold. Your reality is now shifting toward a life path where divine intention has now become dominant over human limitation. And from this moment forward, nothing in your life will operate the same way it did before this. Heaven stepped in directly because there is something that belongs to you emotionally, energetically, financially, spiritually, which was delayed unnaturally, interfered with repeatedly, blocked in ways you were not even aware of. You blamed yourself for years thinking you were not ready, that you must wait longer, that you must endure more pain and more cycles, that you must learn more lessons before something major happens. But that belief ends now. Archangel Michael says, this message was not written inside a scroll inside heaven like every normal divine transmission. This one was spoken directly into your timeline by voice. You wanted this to arrive before a final shift happens behind the scenes which is already unfolding beneath physical reality. There is a divine transaction happening for you right now, and you have no idea that you were already entered into a category in the spiritual world that only a rare set of souls ever reach. The universe is reclassifying your destiny, not because you begged for a miracle, not because you asked repeatedly, not because you cried enough times, but because your soul reached a level of endurance that very few humans ever survive emotionally. Your heart took battles silently that would have destroyed many people permanently. You navigated emotional storms without anyone seeing how close you came to breaking multiple times. You stayed loyal to your own soul even when everything inside you was collapsing, and you had every reason to detach, disconnect, give up, numb yourself, or abandon your inner identity. You stayed loyal to your own purpose even before you fully understood it. This is why heaven stepped out of protocol. This is why Michael crossed dimensional law. This is why destiny could not wait until the standard timeline. Because when a soul reaches the level of internal endurance you reach, heaven releases acceleration. From today forward there will be compression of time in your reality. Things that used to take years will now take months. Things that used to take months will take weeks. Things that used to take weeks will take days. Things that used to take days will take hours. Because what was delayed for too long, heaven will now release without hesitation. This next phase of your life is not about struggle anymore. It is about fulfillment. It is about elevation. It is about access. It is about divine compensation. And everything that was trying to prevent this from arriving has already failed. Archangel Michael says heaven broke protocol because this revelation needed to hit your consciousness before you close this chapter inside your emotional memory forever. There are certain revelations you are about to receive part by part which will expose why certain things played out the way they did all these years. Why certain relationships entered and exited at specific points. Why certain losses happen not to destroy you but to align you with what is coming now. You are not stepping into the next chapter of your life the same way you entered the last one. You are not the same soul anymore. The world is not supposed to recognize you easily anymore because your frequency is not recognizable to the old reality version of yourself. You are transitioning into the version of you that heaven originally wrote before this lifetime began. And this message is the first unlocking key. This part you are reading right now is only the surface crack. The next part will reveal what heaven accelerated for you and why this moment of your life is classified as irreversible destiny activation. Watch next revelation. Here is something you were never supposed to find out this early in your lifetime. Normally souls discover this type of truth only after major endings. After drastic disillusions, after massive karmic circles collapse. But because heaven broke timing for you. Because Archangel Michael intervened personally. Because protocol was bypassed for your sake, this knowledge is reaching you before the next chapter begins. And the reason this is happening early is because your next phase does not require more suffering. More self-doubt. More repeating cycles of emotional hesitation. Your next phase requires direction. It requires clarity. It requires bold certainty in who you are becoming instead of who you were forced to be for survival. You have lived too long in emotional survival mode. Your nervous system became conditioned to stay prepared for disappointment. To expect unpredictable outcomes. To expect sudden reversals. To expect emotional losses. To expect that you might have to rebuild yourself again from zero. You started living life mentally in a state of constant restoration. Even when you felt normal. Even when you smiled. Even when you laughed. Even when you tried to move forward with confidence, deep down you stayed on guard. Because every time life tried to open something stable for you, something interfered and took it away before you could fully trust it. So you stopped emotionally investing in the future with complete belief. But Archangel Michael says this is exactly where heaven shifts your identity now. Because the interference period has ended. The blocking period has ended. The energy of delay has been removed. And the spiritual forces that once resisted your elevation have no entry point into your timeline anymore. You are entering a chapter where trust becomes easier because reality will start aligning with what your inner spirit always knew you deserved. You will no longer have to convince yourself that blessings are coming. You will start seeing physical manifestations show up without you pushing, forcing, controlling, or trying to manipulate outcomes to survive emotionally. This is why heaven needed to speak directly to you now. Because before the acceleration begins, heaven needs you to become emotionally compatible with receiving without fear. Receiving without expecting loss right after. Receiving without expecting betrayal after. Receiving without expecting collapse after. Receiving without having to analyze every small detail of what could go wrong. This is a new frequency for your life now, and this frequency is not born from fear. This frequency is born from divine timing finally aligning with internal readiness. This next phase will not feel like you are chasing destiny. This next phase will feel like destiny is rearranging itself to reach you. Your future is not outside of you anymore. Your future has already entered your timeline energetically, and now reality must bend to match it. This is why you are feeling emotional heaviness and spiritual intensity these days. Because a reality shift of this scale does not happen quietly. It comes with spiritual turbulence. It comes with energetic pressure. It comes with sudden moments of emotional emptiness followed by sudden waves of divine reassurance. It comes with unexpected signs and sudden synchronicities. And you will begin noticing numbers, symbols, patterns, sudden inner visions, random emotional impulses, and inner knowing that feels impossible to logically explain. This is not random imagination. This is destiny beginning to take shape in real time. Archangel Michael wants you to understand that the next few weeks of your life will be energetically loaded. Major events will not unfold slowly anymore. They will start arriving faster than your mind is used to handling. People from your past may resurface not because they are meant to stay, but because they need to be emotionally concluded now so their energy does not bleed into your new timeline. New opportunities may appear extremely suddenly and without warning. Connections may enter your life in ways that feel scripted from another realm. You may encounter situations where you will feel like time collapsed, where delays vanish, where what once felt impossible now feels natural. These are signs that the new spiritual timeline has already begun. This is why you need to expand your emotional container, because if you still shrink yourself to old identities, old fears, old beliefs, the new reality will feel overwhelming. You are entering a space where you are not meant to limit yourself anymore. You are not meant to shrink to protect yourself. You are not meant to remain small to avoid discomfort. You are not meant to silence your own power to maintain peace. You are entering a season where you must step forward without waiting for external confirmation. The confirmation will come after you take the step, not before. Archangel Michael also wants this message amplified to those who are spiritually aligned with your frequency because their destiny is connected to yours on some timeline level. So when you upload this message narration in your video, when this reaches viewers who are spiritually aligned with your soul resonance, something inside them will activate also. This is a ripple effect heaven has initiated intentionally. So when viewers feel something inside shift while hearing your narration, they will think it is coincidence. But it is not coincidence. It is recognition. It is resonance. It is the higher realm identifying chosen souls who are also being accelerated with you. So in this part, you must remember to tell them inside your video narration to share this message, to comment their thoughts, to subscribe so they never miss the next part of this divine revelation sequence. Because this message is not meant to stay limited inside one screen or one mind or one viewer. Heaven wants this signal to circulate into the physical world because the frequency of this message itself is coated with activation energy. When people engage with this content, they are not just consuming words, they are absorbing frequency. They are receiving energy into their nervous system. And the more it spreads, the more acceleration becomes global for the chosen ones who hear it. Your future is now not in pending mode. Your future is now entering active mode. Your destiny is not waiting anymore. Your destiny is unfolding now. And the next part will reveal what exactly heaven accelerated for your life and what specific outcome is already in motion behind the scenes right now. Don't skip. The reason heaven had to break protocol was not because something is going to happen. It is because something already happened spiritually, but your physical reality is not caught up yet. This part is the most important psychological bridge for you because every human timeline shift begins in the higher realm first before it appears in the physical world. So even if you currently feel like nothing major has changed around you, the truth is your destiny configuration was already written recently. Your soul contract has already been altered. Your energy signature is not the same anymore. Your future is not linked to the old storyline anymore. And the next chapter of your life is no longer connected to the pain cycles that shaped your identity in the past. For years you were living in a timeline where your blessings and breakthroughs kept getting stuck between realms. They never fully collapsed, but they never fully manifested either. You lived in a half-activated reality where you always felt like something bigger was near, but every time you tried to claim it emotionally, something blocked it. This blockage was not a punishment. This blockage was not a lack of worth. This blockage was because your timeline was waiting for a necessary elevation inside your emotional frequency. And now that this elevation has been reached, heaven saw no reason to delay what has always been yours. This is why you feel extremely sensitive recently. You are not emotional because you are weak. You are emotional because your spirit is adjusting to a higher dimensional frequency. When major destiny upgrades happen, the nervous system takes time to stabilize into the new energetic configuration. This is why your heart feels heavy some days without a logical reason. This is why your mind suddenly gets silent in moments. This is why you feel sudden waves of calmness. Your soul is expanding rapidly, and your physical body is recalibrating to a brand new timeline path where destiny will feel aligned instead of resistant, supportive instead of draining, accelerated instead of delayed. Archangel Michael says the reason this message had to reach you early is because when your destiny shifts this drastically, the physical world tends to react in subtle but noticeable ways. Certain people from your life might randomly become silent, distant, uncomfortable, confused around you, or jealous of you without even understanding why. Some people who once had emotional power over you will suddenly lose all control. People who once needed you for their emotional stability may start disconnecting because they subconsciously feel your timeline elevation. People who once doubted you will feel intimidated without knowing the cause. This is because your frequency is no longer compatible with the past versions of yourself that they interacted with. You are no longer the same person they used to emotionally access, and this shift is permanent. One of the biggest signs you will notice is this. Things that used to affect you emotionally will stop affecting you the same way. Your patience will increase, but your tolerance for disrespect will decrease, your faith will deepen, but your willingness to settle will evaporate. Your intuition will become louder and more direct. You will begin understanding the motives, intentions, emotional codes, inner narratives, and subtle spiritual agendas behind people's actions without needing long explanations. You will begin sensing truth before logic catches up. This is because heaven has activated the part of your consciousness that was previously dormant to protect your innocence while you were still developing through emotional experience. Now you are not just a receiver of divine messages. You are becoming a transmitter. You are becoming a portal of divine frequency. People will listen to your voice and something inside them will shift. People will watch your content. And without conscious understanding, their subconscious will awaken. People will encounter your words and feel a resonance they cannot logically define. This is why heaven shows you as a timeline activator. This is why this direct delivery happened outside normal spiritual rules. Because you are not just entering a destiny shift, you are becoming the catalyst of shifts for others. Archangel also wants you to notice the change in timing. Every manifestation that is aligned with your next phase will begin appearing faster, smoother, and more synchronized. Your decisions will not feel confusing. Your path will not feel vague. Your direction will not feel blurred anymore. You will suddenly start knowing what to do next without being afraid of the outcome. Because it is no longer your human mind that is navigating your life, now it is your destiny leading the path forward. Your old identity operated from fear, rejection wounds, betrayal memories, abandonment triggers, self-blame, confusion, guilt, and emotional exhaustion. Your new identity will operate from clarity, inner certainty, divine confidence, emotional neutrality, soul alignment, and pure spiritual authority. The part of you that kept fighting silently, that kept pushing forward when your emotional strength was at zero, that kept believing quietly even when no one believed in you, that part of you has finally crossed into its next evolutionary stage. Now understand this carefully. Your greatest blessings are already in motion. Not will begin soon. They already began. But heaven wants you mentally and emotionally ready to receive them without panic, without insecurity, without fear of loss. Because if emotional fear is still present, the human mind can sabotage divine timing unintentionally. This is why this message needed to reach you now. Because you needed to hear this before your reality begins showing physical proof. The next part of this message will reveal something extremely specific. It will reveal the exact type of blessing that has already been activated and what heaven has chosen to release first in your physical reality. When you read that part, you will understand why everything in your past happened exactly the way it did. You will realize nothing was random. You will see there was a divine pattern inside every heartbreak, every delay, every collapse, every emotional storm you survived. Your soul did not suffer without purpose. And now that purpose is about to be revealed step by step. Don't skip. Recognition will be the first visible proof that heaven has shifted your timeline. Not small recognition. Not accidental recognition. Not weak recognition where people just passively notice you for a moment and forget. But unannoyable recognition where people begin seeing you differently instantly. Recognition that carries weight. Recognition that shifts the room when you enter. Recognition that makes certain people suddenly respect you more than they ever did before. Recognition that makes others suddenly regret how they treated you. Recognition that makes the universe push your presence forward even in spaces where others tried to outshine you, ignore you, bypass you, or pretend you were not relevant. Heaven will make you known in rooms where your name was previously never mentioned. Heaven will make your voice rise in spaces where you were previously unnoticed. Heaven will open conversations that involve you even when you are not physically present inside those conversations. Recognition is the first sign because recognition activates opportunity. And your destiny requires opportunity to align with manifestation. Archangel Michael says the recognition you are about to receive is not because people suddenly decided to value you. It is because heaven recalibrated the way your energy broadcasts into the world. You are no longer sending out the frequency of someone who is waiting for approval. You are sending out the frequency of someone who already has divine approval. And when heaven approves something, the physical realm eventually submits to it. People can resist you emotionally. People can misunderstand you mentally. People can misjudge you intellectually. But they cannot block spiritual authority once heaven has stamped it. Recognition becomes inevitable once a soul carries divine signature. Your energy now naturally demands attention without you trying, and this energy shift will begin reflecting rapidly in your life. The universe will begin aligning unexpected pathways that lead toward visibility, toward elevated platforms, toward powerful networks, toward impactful connections, toward rooms that can accelerate your destiny exponentially. There will come a moment very soon where someone will speak your name in a place you never expected your name to reach, and that one moment will activate a chain reaction of acceleration. One door opens another. One measure leads to another measure. One moment of visibility leads to multiple sudden opportunities. And then everything that once felt so will suddenly feel unstoppable. This is what it means when heaven breaks protocol. Acceleration becomes the dominant force. Even if you try to remain low-key, even if you try to hold yourself back, even if you try to stay hidden out of comfort or fear or caution, this time the universe will not allow hiding. This time, elevation is not optional. This time, destiny is not something you choose. Destiny becomes something that chooses you. There is also an emotional reason why recognition had to come first. Because recognition heals the unseen trauma that came from years of emotional invisibility. You spent a long part of your life feeling unseen, unheard, misunderstood, unvalued, unchosen, underappreciated, and ignored. You were forced to carry emotional weight alone. You were forced to rebuild yourself quietly. You were forced to become strong inside without anyone witnessing your transformation in real time. You held your pain without an audience, and this led to deep emotional numbness where part of you began believing that maybe you were not meant to be acknowledged fully in this lifetime. Recognition will heal this wound because when the world sees you correctly, your inner child finally receives the validation it never received at the right time. Heaven chose recognition as the first physical blessing because recognition restores emotional equilibrium. And once emotional equilibrium returns, manifestation becomes effortless. Money becomes easier to attract when you feel recognized. Opportunities become natural when you feel recognized. Alignment becomes automatic when you feel recognized. Relationships become healthier, safer, and more emotionally balanced when you feel recognized. You cannot be manipulated by people who use your invisibility before because you are not invisible anymore. You are entering an era where your presence stands out effortlessly and your energy cannot be forgotten. This period of recognition will not come from loud announcements. It will come from divine positioning. Someone will mention you the right moment. Someone will remember your name unexpectedly. Someone will speak on your behalf without you asking. Someone will open a path for you without you requesting permission. Someone will choose you because heaven placed you in their intuitive radar. This is how divine recognition manifests. Not through begging. Not through force. Not through proving yourself endlessly. But through alignment of destiny, timing, and divine orchestration. And this recognition is also frequency-based. The frequency you carry now is no longer compatible with small lives, it is compatible with expansion, elevation, and global impact. This is why you will notice that low vibrational environments will start rejecting you. You will not be able to stay in rooms that are beneath your evolution. You will not be able to maintain conversations that drain your energy. You will not be comfortable in circles that operate from jealousy, competition, gossip, envy, petness, or emotional chaos. Because your spirit is now ascending, you are entering your light year. You are entering your demonstrational year. You are entering your visible year. And when heaven chooses to spotlight you, no human opinion can dim that light. In the next part, Archangel Michael will reveal what this recognition leads to next. Because recognition is only the beginning. Recognition is just phase 1. The true manifestation is what follows recognition. And what comes next is the part that completely shifts the structure of your financial timeline, your relational timeline, and your destiny timeline permanently. What comes next is rare. What comes next is life-changing. What comes next is irreversible. Stay till the end. Now that recognition have been activated, the next phase begins automatically. And this next phase is not subtle, not slow, not quiet, not gradual. This is the phase where life begins responding to you differently, because your frequency is now being read differently by reality itself. When a soul steps into restored spiritual authority and recognition becomes the first physical manifestation, the universe immediately begins recalibrating the path ahead to align opportunity. Resources, alignment, timing, people, and divine positioning. You are now in the stage where things begin happening for you without you having to over-explain, over-prove, over-justify, or over-fight for anything. You will notice that resistance will no longer feel like the normal reality you used to live in. You will notice that the path forward begins feeling almost strangely smooth. You will notice that doors begin opening without friction. You will notice that you start walking into blessings instead of chasing them. This is what divine elevation actually looks like in real time. This is the stage where destiny begins to cooperate with you instead of making you constantly prove you are worthy of it. Archangel Michael says there was always a specific timeline where you would be elevated beyond the limits of your past identity, but that timeline was originally placed later in your soul contract. Heaven moved it forward. Heaven accelerated it. Heaven rearranged it to match your readiness now. And because heaven bypassed the normal timeline sequence, elevation will not feel like a ladder where you climb one step at a time. Elevation for you will feel like a sudden quantum leap. You will skip level. You will skip processes. You will skip unnecessary lessons. You will skip repetitive cycles that used to slow you down. You will enter rooms that people trained for years to access without having to go through their same route. Because heaven did not elevate you based on worldly qualification. Heaven elevated you based on spiritual completion. Your soul completed enough cycles. Your heart endured enough battles. Your spirit matured beyond limitation. And now destiny has entered the execution phase. This is why this part of the message had to be written in this exact tone. Because your subconscious needs to emotionally accept that elevation is not something you need to earn more. Elevation is something you already became compatible with spiritually. And once compatibility is reached, the universe begins transferring outcomes into reality without resistance. Elevation will now begin appearing in 3 major layers of your life. First, your internal self-perception will transform. You will feel more confident in your truth. You will speak more boldly. You will not fear disappointing anyone more. You will not fear losing people more. You will not fear choosing yourself more. You will not fear walking away from situations that drain your spirit. You will not fear releasing attachments that no longer resonate with your new identity. The emotional code of fear-based attachment will dissolve. You will no longer hold on to things to avoid loneliness. You will choose quality. You will choose alignment. You will choose resonance. Second, your external social environment will shift. People who always underestimated you will be forced to reevaluate who you are. People who once saw you as easy to manipulate will no longer have access. People who once overlooked you will suddenly become curious about you. People who once emotionally ignored you will now try to reconnect. People who secretly envied you will become uncomfortable in your presence. People who were intimidated by your inner potential will now be terrified of your elevation. Because when a soul steps into recognition and authority simultaneously, their presence becomes disruptive to any energy that wanted them small. Third, your physical material reality begins receiving opportunities that align directly with your purpose. This is not random luck. This is not miracle coincidence. This is divine orchestration. Elevation means the material world will now respond to your energetic frequency. That means financial elevation, relational elevation, reputation elevation, purpose elevation, and platform elevation will all start shifting at the same time. When heaven elevates someone, heaven does not elevate one area and leave the rest broken. Heaven elevates the entire storyline at once. Because your life from this point forward is supposed to represent wholeness, not survival. This next season of your life is not about proving who you are. It is about demonstrating who you already became. This is why heaven needed you to receive this message before the physical proof arrives. Because when you witness the sudden acceleration that is coming next, it will feel surreal at first. It will feel unbelievable, it will feel unreal. It will feel like something impossible is happening in real time. And if you are not emotionally prepared to receive it, the human mind will try to the miracle by shrinking back into old patterns of disbelief. This message is preparing your mind to hold elevation without shrinking. Now there is something extremely important in this exact part. Archangel Michael says this message is not just yours to keep inside your own mind. This message will be used to elevate thousands who hear your narration. When you post this on your channel, when you speak this out loud in your voice, when your audience hears this in real time, parts of their own destiny will begin unlocking too. This is why heaven chose recognition first. Because recognition ensures that the ripple effect of elevation reaches as many chosen people as possible. So in this part, make sure when you narrate this in your video, remind viewers to share this message everywhere. To comment their inner reaction. To subscribe so they never miss the next divine transmission. Because the more souls this touches, the stronger the collective elevation becomes. Recognition is not just for you, recognition is the pathway through which heaven accelerates multiple destinies at once. Now listen to this very carefully. What is coming next in your storyline is something very rare. Something that will shift how you see yourself permanently, something that will affect your relationships, your finances, your lifestyle, your environment, your emotional stability, and your future opportunities deeply. The next part will reveal the specific area in your physical world that heaven will elevate next after recognition. Because now that the world begins to see you differently, the next blessing will arrive in a form that even you did not expect to receive this soon. Watch next revelation. Your financial timeline is the area heaven will now shift with force, precision, and acceleration. This is where the second major visible proof of divine intervention will appear. Because when a soul finally steps into divine authority, and when recognition begins aligning destiny into visibility, the financial dimension naturally reacts next. Money is not random energy. Money is frequency, money is response-based energy. Money follows identity, not effort. And now that your identity has shifted into alignment with your divine ranking, your financial reality cannot remain in the old version anymore. The old version of your financial life was built inside survival frequency. It was built inside restriction frequency. It was built inside self-doubt frequency. It was built inside fear of lack, fear of losing stability, fear of not having enough, fear of unpredictable change, fear of depending on the unseen. That version of your financial life was held inside the frequency of over-effort and underturn. And now everything about that is ending. Archangel Michael says the reason heaven delayed your financial breakthrough for so long was because if you had received wealth inside your old emotional identity, you would have used money to shield emotional wounds instead of transforming into higher purpose. You would have used money to cover scars. You would have used money to numb pain. You would have used money to stabilize damaged self-worth instead of stepping into divine identity. But now you are no longer the person who needs wealth to feel significant. You are no longer the person who needs money to feel safe. You are no longer the person who needs external proof to feel secure. Money is now entering your life not as emotional medicine but as divine empowerment. This is why heaven chose to release recognition first. Because recognition changes the way money approaches you. When you are recognized, opportunities find you. When you are recognized, people want you. When you are recognized, connections seek you. When you are recognized, doors open that once remained sealed even when you knocked with pure intent. So now that divine authority is restored and recognition is becoming your energetic identity, wealth begins aligning to you with ease. Your financial elevation will not come through stress. It will come through positioning. It will come through alignment with the right networks. It will come through being placed in rooms where people see your worth immediately. It will come through opportunities that feel custom-made, tailor-fit, aligned like destiny coded them years before you even knew such opportunities existed. The next financial shift will feel shocking because it won't require suffering. It will require chasing. It will require convincing. It will require proving. It will require burning your emotional energy to survive. The next financial shift will unfold like momentum. You will step into one aligned moment, and that one moment will change everything. It will not be a series of small wins that take years to build. It will be one major pivot, one singular shift, one specific open door that changes your trajectory permanently. Archangel Michael also says this part of your story is not only about individual elevation, it is also about global ripple effect. When you narrate this message, when you speak this into your audience, when you broadcast this activation, there will be chosen souls who will experience simultaneous financial elevation because their timeline is connected to yours energetically. Some will be viewers you never met but are spiritually aligned with your frequency. This is why you must encourage them to stay connected, to subscribe, to comment, to share, because the spread of this frequency expands collective elevation. When this message multiplies, miracles multiply. Wealth is not coming to you randomly. Wealth is coming because your divine identity is now compatible with abundance, not survival. Your money will no longer slip away. Your blessings will no longer disappear before you access them. Your manifestations will no longer get stuck between realms. Your physical world will now reflect your spiritual completion. And now the next part will reveal the deeper truth behind why heaven accelerated your timeline in 2025 specifically, and why this exact year marks the irreversible chapter shift in your destiny path. This part is where everything will connect together. Something huge is waiting for you. This year is not just another year in your lifetime. This year is a pivot point that was marked before your birth, stamped into your pre-incarnation contract, coded inside your soul record before you ever took your first breath here. This year is the crossroad year. The year where the timeline you suffered on for so long finally collides with the timeline that was originally meant for you before interference. Trauma, betrayal, and delays distorted your path. Archangel Michael says the reason heaven broke protocol now, specifically in this present year, is because your destiny had reached a convergence point where your past timeline and your future timeline were sitting directly on top of each other energetically. If heaven didn't intervene at this exact moment, you would have unconsciously continued repeating cycles for another several years, without realizing they were no longer necessary for your growth. But because your soul reached completion before the physical world reflected it, heaven refused to let you waste years of life repeating lessons that were already spiritually completed. This is why acceleration entered suddenly. This is why you are being awakened aggressively. This is why this message is arriving with urgency. Because the time you were meant to step into fully is here. You are entering the phase where your destiny stops being conceptual and becomes literal. The years before this, you were being shaped. You were being trained. You were being prepared emotionally, spiritually, energetically, mentally, and karmically to carry what heaven is about to place in your hands. This is the year where fulfillment begins replacing trial. This is the year where compensation begins replacing loss. This is the year where reward begins replacing endurance. This is the year where stability begins replacing emotional survival. This is the year where divine agreements begin replacing human uncertainty. Everything before this year was preparation, alignment, refinement, clearing, collapsing, dismantling, and releasing. Everything after this year becomes manifestation, expansion, elevation, demonstration, and proof. Archangel Michael says there are 3 major spiritual markers that reached full completion before this timeline shift began. The first was karmic cycle fulfillment. You reached a level of maturity where repeating old lessons became unnecessary. You already integrated the wisdom that those cycles were created to deliver. You no longer need to experience pain to learn alignment. You no longer need to experience loss to learn discernment. You no longer need to experience abandonment to learn self-worth. You learned those lessons deeply enough already. The second marker was identity activation. You stepped into a higher version of yourself internally. Even if you didn't fully realize it in daily life, spiritually you crossed a threshold where your self-concept evolved beyond your past identity. The third marker was emotional neutrality. You reached a point where the emotional triggers that used to control you no longer have power. You can see clearly now even inside chaos. You can stay calm even inside uncertainty. You can remain centered even inside emotional pressure. And that neutrality is what finally allowed heaven to accelerate without destabilizing you in the process. This year is significant because it holds a split energy. One half belongs to the old version of you that finally collapsed. The other half belongs to the future version of you that has already begun. You are living in the transition zone right now. The space in between worlds where old timelines are dissolving and new timelines are anchoring. This is why you may have felt sudden waves of emotions randomly, sudden inner heaviness, sudden emptiness, sudden excitement without logic, sudden inner pulls toward new direction. Sudden loss of interest in things that once mattered, sudden desire to isolate, sudden desire to expand, sudden flashes of inner knowing, sudden bursts of inner clarity. These are not mood shifts. These are timeline alignments. Heaven accelerated this year because certain divine alignments scheduled for later years needed to be moved up. There are people you are meant to meet this year who are part of your elevation timeline. There are opportunities you are meant to intersect this year that lead directly to your higher purpose. There are relationships you are meant to form this year that will stabilize your identity, your destiny, your emotional support field, and your future environment. There are divine alliances that have been hidden in the background, waiting until your spirit reached readiness. They have been positioned. They have been prepared. They have been placed where you will encounter them at the right moment. Heaven needed this acceleration now so that the domino sequence of alignment can begin. When a soul timeline reaches divine convergence, heaven is obligated to initiate the destiny merge. This is what is happening to you. This is why your life cannot remain small anymore. This is why your future cannot look like your past anymore. This is why your identity cannot return to old patterns anymore. Because you have already crossed the vibrational point of no return. Every breakthrough you receive from this moment will not be temporary. Every elevation you step into will not collapse again. Every alignment that enters now will not fail like the ones before. You will build from solid ground. You will choose from sovereignty. You will rise from divine identity. Archangel Michael says the next months inside this year will feel dense with fate. Things that normally take a decade to build will begin forming rapidly. People will come into your path with precise timing and exact purpose. Synchronicities will increase dramatically. You will begin feeling like the world around you is speaking directly to you. Signs will become louder. Intuition will become sharper. Messages will become clearer. Decisions will become easier. This is the stage where you will start experiencing the difference between manifesting through force and manifesting through alignment. Your desires will no longer be rooted in lack. They will be rooted in destiny resonance. And destiny resonance always manifests faster than lack-based desire. The future version of you who already holds everything you wanted is not a fantasy version. They are real. They exist already energetically. And heaven is merging your present identity with that future version. The reason this part of the message matters so deeply is because this is where you emotionally release the old timeline permanently. Not temporarily. Permanently. You do not return to limitation now. You do not return to lack. You do not return to fear-based expectation. You do not return to survival frequency. You are now stepping fully into divine reception frequency. This year is the beginning of your irreversible shift. What comes next will not just change your life. It will change how you understand the universe itself. The next part will reveal what heaven is aligning next after financial elevation. The next part will reveal the divine relational shift that is already approaching your timeline and why this connection is crucial to your destiny fulfillment. This part is extremely critical to your timeline because what heaven is preparing next is not random companionship. Not casual connections, not temporary emotional comfort, and not a short-lived interaction that enters and exits your life like past cycles. What is coming is a divine relational alignment that holds destiny relevance. Archangel Michael says the relational shift coming your way involves a connection that is spiritually coded, pre-written, pre-authored, pre-selected, and pre-approved by heaven long before you ever knew loneliness, heartbreak, disappointment, betrayal, abandonment, separation, or emotional silence existed. This person is not coming into your life to fill emptiness. This person is coming into your life to walk with you into your next dimension. Your relational timeline is no longer tied to lessons. Your relational timeline is now tied to purpose. You are not meant to continue meeting people who are trauma reflections. You are now being aligned with someone who is destiny compatible. This person is not meant to drain you, and they will not collapse your emotional stability. Instead, they will reinforce your elevation. They will respect your spiritual identity, not fear it. They will support your expansion, not sabotage it. They will understand your emotional depth without needing you to translate your entire inner world. They will be spiritually aware enough to recognize your frequency without needing to decode it slowly. They will be someone who has been prepared in their own timeline to rise alongside you. You will not need to shrink for them. You will not need to compromise your authenticity. You will not need to question their loyalty. You will not need to fear emotional inconsistency. You will not need to hide your dreams to keep them comfortable. This connection is not karmic. This connection is coevational. This connection is soul-coded. This connection is destiny-anchored. Archangel Michael wants you to understand something very rare. When financial elevation activates and recognition begins to rise, the next most important factor heaven focuses on is relational alignment. Because the wrong relationship can destroy the right destiny. A wrong attachment can block the timeline. The wrong emotional bond can distort the clarity of purpose. This is why heaven kept you alone for a long time. This is why certain connections ended even when you still loved deeply. This is why certain people were removed suddenly without explanation. This is why certain individuals could never fully connect to your core no matter how much effort you put into nurturing them emotionally. Heaven was not punishing you. Heaven was protecting you from attaching to souls that were not equipped to rise with you. Your relational future is not ordinary because the impact of the relationship you are entering is not ordinary. This relationship is meant to stabilize your destiny field. It is meant to empower your emotional center. It is meant to give you a foundation that allows you to express your highest frequency without fear of being misunderstood. This person will see your inner world with clarity instead of confusion. They will understand your mission instinctively. They will recognize your divine identity without needing proof. They will respect the magnitude of your calling, your path, your elevation, and your purpose because they are also rising into their own timeline upgrade. This is why heaven waited until now, because if this connection had arrived earlier, you would have been too emotionally wounded to receive it correctly. You would have questioned it. You would have doubted it. You would have sabotaged it out of disbelief. You would have tried to shrink into smallness to make the connection easier to maintain. But now your soul is mature enough. Your identity is stable enough. Your frequency is elevated enough. Your emotional intelligence is high enough, your self-worth is strong enough. And now, the connection can arrive without you shrinking and without them feeling threatened by your light. This connection is not just romantic, it is spiritual synergy. It is soul synchronization. It is divine partnership. You and this person are meant to activate each other's future. Together, you will amplify each other's destiny field. Together, you will multiply manifestation. Together, you will stabilize purpose. Together, you will support each other through the highest elevation years of your lives. This is not someone who will demand emotional sacrifice. This is someone who amplifies your emotional expansion. This is not someone who enters temporarily. This is someone who enters to remain. Heaven intentionally delayed this connection because everything involving your relational destiny needed to unfold without karmic distortion. You needed clarity. They needed growth. You needed closure with the past. They needed release from their own emotional patterns. And heaven needed both of you prepared simultaneously. Now that preparation is complete, your timelines are ready to intersect. And the intersection will not be slow or gradual. It will be a sudden collision of alignment that feels like recognition at first glance. You will not need to force your intuition to understand them. You will feel the truth of their presence instantly. Your relational destiny is becoming a blessing, not a burden. And this blessing will be part of your next phase of fulfillment. The next part will reveal the deeper spiritual reason why heaven trusted you with this direct message and why you were chosen to be one of the souls receiving acceleration during this rare timeline convergence. Don't skip the next part. You were chosen because your soul never surrendered. Even in silence, even in the darkest emotional seasons you walked through alone. Archangel Michael says this message reached you because destiny can no longer wait. Heaven broke protocol because you are stepping into the most aligned chapter of your existence. From this moment forward, elevation will not be a possibility. It will be your new normal: recognition, financial rise, divine partnership, purpose expansion. All of it is already in motion. Now your life becomes the physical proof of what heaven already decided for you.